Welcome to episode 19, where we'll continue on the coilover front suspension with D21 control arms and spindles. Like and subscribe if you want to keep seeing this stuff. It's getting good. Alright, Amber. So, you gonna be in the video? So, part 19 is we're going to finish up the 300ZX coilovers, paint the engine bay, front wheel spacers, studs, paint the tailgate letters, seam sealer, install the soft lines, the hard lines, install the engine, find some tranny bolts, install the brake booster, paint it, work on the headlight buckets, strip off the front end completely, install the check valve, master cylinder, a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of stuff in 19. And Amber's gonna take a nap, so enjoy 19. Okay, just installed the coil spring assembly for the first time, completed in the most lowest setting. It's kind of tight, I'll admit it's hard to get in there, but it does go in without compressing it or anything. If I actually preloaded the spring, it would be easier. But I got this bolt tension rod loose but not off. It's about as low as it goes. If I loosened it up, it'd probably go down a little bit more. But then again, it does hit here. But right now, it doesn't hit anything. So now I gotta take it apart to put the upper control arm in. I really should order some poly so I could take these apart easier. But right now, they're still stock rubber. So I gotta put the upper control arm in, and then the coil spring. But they're not gonna fit, I don't think. The next step is to trim this. I'm pretty sure this is gonna rub a little bit. So I gotta cut this out and move it more inward and box the thing. And okay, I just took out like a 1/2 inch of that bent round. And look at that, it actually clears. So this is a full droop. Whoa. And so I think we're on the right track. I just gotta reinforce what I cut out. And this may actually work. Alright, so here's version 1 of the upper control arm. I just cut out like a 1/2 inch, that little bent lip. I'm going to put a piece of 1/8 inch, which is thicker than the original upper control arm, into here. This is actually thicker than 1/8 inch. Piece like so, and then I'll plate this in later. And I think that'll put the structure back for that little piece I took out, hopefully. I can even fill in this little triangle later. Let's weld this up and put it on. Alright, I finally got the coil over installed. And check this out. Oh, the weight of the truck is sitting on it. The bad news, I just added on 1 1/4 inch extension, and it looks ugly as hell. This is all ugly. And look at the clearance. It's a little like a hair between. Now this is my extension for the brake booster, which won't exist on a normal truck. But it fits, the suspension works. I just jumped up and down the frame. I got no engine in there. It's still too high. It's kind of like ride height, actually, ironically, which I wanted to be lower. So in order to get it to be lower, there's no way to lower these things. This coil bucket is already bottomed out. I'd have to cut off this mount and raise it up 1/2 inch. That would make a huge difference, which I don't really want to do because I'll probably melt that bushing when I re-weld it. So I'd have to figure out a way to replace that bushing. I want to get that 1/2 inches. The only other thing I do is get a softer spring or raise the shock more, and I'd probably have to move the brake booster, which may be an option because I found that there is some clutch cylinders that are skinnier than the truck one, like the 350Z or 370Z. 370Z, they have tiny little clutch masters. I'm like, I didn't know that. So that may be an option. I can get rid of this bulge, move the brake booster back, move the clutch. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of work. Anyways, I got this in here, stock height. Maybe with the truck in here, it'll drop down. With the engine in there, it'll be a lot more, but it's working. I got clearance. Obviously, I can't test compression with the spring in here, but I've tested it without the spring. And I've clearanced this upper control arm. This is all ugly. I gotta make that look pretty and weld it up. But yeah, it's ugly. I gotta cut this coil bucket off, try to make this look better. I welded it on crooked of all things. I didn't notice it until today. You see how it had to go straight up. I tried to pull the coil back 1/4 of an inch when I went up. I could no longer go up diagonally because it was just getting farther away. I just noticed that this thing is crooked, so I'm gonna cut this off again and try to make it look less ugly. Here's my original design. I like this look better, but this needs to be up. The coilover is too tall. It's too big, too tall for what I need. Or it's too hard to get in, one of the two. And for lowering, it's too big. So this side would be easy to raise. This side not so much. So anyways, let's get to cutting this off again and making it look prettier. Now that we know it works. Alright, this is version 2 of the upper control arm. This piece was actually rubbing on the coil spring just a little bit, so I notched out some more of it. I may just have to cut this piece out completely, so I added a new piece of steel that's not as tall, and I moved it back and I leaned it over, and it's not as tall, so hopefully this will not hit the coil spring like this one was. So like I said, I just notched this out. I need to put it all back together, cycle the suspension. Worst case, I'm going to have to remove this. I've got a big hole here. I need to plate that, but I think I need to take this off first. Anyways, I end up putting the ball joint on here just to make sure I could get this bar as close as possible to the ball joint. Because before, when I did this bar, I just kind of guessed. I didn't want to get in the way of the ball joint. But obviously, I got in the way of the coil spring. You can see my little plate added here. This one kind of needs to go away. I need to add something here. It's going to be fun to get that out of there. Alright, I love these D21 hubs, but the studs are kind of short. And the problem is the 14-inch 521 wheels don't fit around here. So you either have to bore out the rims or grind these down or put a spacer. So I bought some of these 4-lug, 5-lug, 6-lug, 8-lug spacers, 1/2 inch thick. Never used this style before. But they needed a longer stud. So I took out the front studs and I put in the rear studs, the 320s. Same ones I just put on the 521 H190 axle. So the good thing is I got the same studs front and rear, 12.1.25, just like every other Nissan. So I got millions of nuts for those. Hopefully these are long enough. No idea. Probably. I don't know where all the nuts. Oh, here's a bunch of nuts right here. Speaking of nuts, those are my fancy ones. Here's some factory Nissan ones in here. These are some V1 motorsports. Here's a factory Nissan. Oh yeah. You see that? Those would be perfect, I think. Alright. So, in theory, now I can actually finally put all 4 wheels on the truck and roll it around. Yay. Make its progress. Now here it goes. I'm going to try to paint the engine compartment. I've already primered it with epoxy primer, then primered it with duplicate primer, lacquer primer. So now I don't even have to scuff it or anything. I just tried to blue it out a little bit. I'll try to paint it. Got all my suspension painted and welded in, so here goes. I'm also going to retouch up the tailgate. This has been my experimental thing, trying to get those letters, and another coat on the handles. So here goes. Alright, I got a couple of coats of white. It's so bright in here. I keep looking for a light, like I left the light on. It's so funny. But I end up putting a little more of this U-Paul German fantastic seam sealer. Can't remember how long I need to wait for it to dry before I paint over it. I need to do some more research. My wife has helped me touch up the Datsun letters. Painting around these letters is a nightmare. I'm not good enough. She's trying to help me touch it up. Oh. It looks good though. I love the big bold Datsun. Man, just gotta touch up the block next, and then I'll clear coat it. Can't wait. Get some paint on this beast. So the suspension is all back together. Got my 300ZX coilovers, V6 calipers, got wheel spacers. All I gotta do is figure out a tie rod. Gotta do some research. I can put those back on, but I need to find some correct ones. And ordered brake lines, hot soft lines for the whole truck for a 95 D21 and some Maxima rear ones. So time to put the brakes back on. Yeah, I just kind of sanded these nasty rotors down first for a mock-up. Probably gonna need to rebuild these calipers. I did order a rebuild kit, and the ball joints are gonna need to be replaced. But actually, there's no slop, so they're just ugly and ripped. But they'll work for a couple of days. Getting me driving. So I think it's finally time to paint this or test this, one of the two. Maybe I should do both. Gotta paint this and test this contraption. I like the little Nissan sticker, but I need to paint this ugly brake booster, put it in, hopefully for the last time. Shoot, I need to find a hose too for that. Put the brakes in. Yay, I gotta order some hard lines. I'll find some hard lines. Oh, the tailgate's looking good. My wife is still touching it up. She's gonna touch up the black in a minute. I wasn't happy with the ugly welds, so I think I am gonna have to drill a hole in here. Oh man, so I just put some more of that seam sealer on there to try to make that weld look a little better. I just realized I don't know if I welded this enough to hold a battery, so I might have to re-weld that. Oopsie, because I got a good weld here, I think. Just got a couple of tacks here and there. Shoot. Anyways, I looked at batteries the other day and I found one that would fit there. It's just me, or does it look like a black spot? Anyways, put another coat of white and then we're gonna clear coat this thing. Okay, it's time to figure out the length. This one is 7 1/4, so probably 7 inches is the right length. The overall length is 8 1/2. That's from the bump stop. I don't know where you measure these from, the end of the threads, or I would think from here or here maybe. So the overall length is 8 1/2. This is about 1/2 inch too long, I think. This is my homemade one. Or if I just have more, actually no, the length is good. The length is good, it's just that I don't have many threads left. Actually the length is good because I want it to go in. I don't know if this is I had a tie rod. I need to get a Nissan one. So what did I say, 8 1/2? Or this way is, I need to go look online. It's about 8 1/2 overall, maybe even longer. 9 inch, I could always shorten it. Okay. Alright, so let's check out the right side. Obviously it's not the same length. What did I say? Oh, 8 inches seems too long. Oh, is that the overall length? The overall length, about 9. Is that what I said on the other side? The rack is centered, so I'm assuming the wheel is straight. I don't know. Shoot. I think my wheel, I think these are the same length. I can't remember, I made them so many times. So overall length is about 8 1/2. I think overall length about 9 inches. Something around there. What is that? 210 millimeters? I think they're in inches on Rock Auto. I just don't know where you measure from. No clue. Let's order something. Alright, so there it is on 300ZX tuner, whatever they're called, max speed tuner coilovers on the lowest setting. I haven't done the preload, but obviously no engine, hood, bumper, battery, radiator, oh, whatever else inch. So hopefully they'll go down. Here goes, let's do a little suspension test. Hopefully they don't break. Oh, 60 pounds. Pretty soft. Nothing broke yet. There we go. So I just put a couple of coats of clear in here. Time to start putting this thing back together. So I'm gonna just start putting the clutch in, steering column, brake master, etc. Alright, I think it's time to put the engine back in. I know it needs to be painted, but I gotta make sure this thing runs first. So all the D21 suspension, coilovers are in. It's a little too high, as you saw in the last video, but I got the engine mounted correctly this time, so it's not wobbling. I didn't need to remove the kayak this time. I got it on the shortest stroke. I can actually get in here, roll the truck back. I don't have the parking brake hooked up, but got the clutch master installed, got the pilot bearing and everything greased, throw bearing, clutch fork, got my tool removed. I should have peak clamped this fuel line out of the way, but I may put a longer one go all the way to here, so that may be getting replaced. Got the clutch, which appears to be brand new, somebody put on it. Got that all torqued. So let's put it in the L16. Hopefully, for what, the 20th time I put this thing in. But this is the first time in a painted engine bay. So can I do it without scratching the paint? Okay, here goes. I'm gonna turn YouTube down. Is it going? Okay, so what do I do now? I haven't done it this way in a while. I gotta stab the training. It's the harder way to do it. Oh yeah! First walk falling. No matter what I do, stuff falls around. I move around. No hands installed. Damn. I'm gonna have any bolts ready. Big bolts. Yeah, not factory Nissan bolts, but probably work for me. Okay, you're going good. You're like spot on. Keep. Wow. Now I can stab some bolts in there. Oh, there's the dowel right there. Oh my God, I'm so tired. Chaney, you're not needed anymore. Oh yes. Boop. Oh, there we go. It just went right on. Oh, the bolt goes in. Oh, I love it when things work. I remember fighting sometimes trying to put. Okay. Engine's in. Okay, the good news is I got this motor mount back in. I didn't think it was going to fit, it was kind of hard. But after I tightened down the right side motor mount, it made a huge difference. But it was a little awkward to get in, and it's not laying flat. So I just put the block back in there. I think I'm going to have to cut it, re-weld it, take it all out. Here's something interesting. The original bolts, I found some old bolts, 10 millimeter by 1.5, 58 millimeters long. The old tranny bolts. These aftermarket ones are good. They got a big head, but that's the problem. The head is so big. This one's a 16, some are 15, some are 17. They make it hard to get wrenches and ratchet wrenches in there. Whereas these original 14 millimeter heads, they're good, especially for the starter. These are too big for the starter. So 58 millimeters seems to be the factory size. I have just enough old bolts. I think from, who knows what from. Ooh, that one seems kind of too long. Oh, it just came out of there, so. Had a 55 in there, this original one. Should work. Okay, note to self, the stop bolt here has to be a 55. The rest can be 58. That one, the pocket is not deep enough in the block. But I just tightened them all. I tightened 3 of the 4 bolts from the top, which is surprising, especially on even these old trucks. I could actually get 3 of the 4 bolts from above. I need to go down below to get one. So there's only 4 bolts on this trim? Jeez, that doesn't seem right. Hard body was like 6 or 8. Alright, so here's part of the brake upgrade. This is the original brake system. Master cylinder, left side, right side. And this is the rear, and that's a mounting hole. So I just need to get rid of this to get rid of this plug. I either need to plug this, which I don't think I have a plug. Maybe I do. I have an old T-block here. I don't know where it's from. May have been from a hard body or when I got rid of the Nissan load sensing valve in the 95 hard body. Who knows? But ironically, look at that. Alright, it's time to get the brake lines working. Put that back on here before I lose it. So I think it's time to put these back on. I went ahead and cut off 45 degrees. I think the rubber goes on the bottom. That goes on here, so that's the other side. I went ahead and cut these off. Kind of space them off because originally they were kind of close to the upper control arm because now the upper control arm is wider. So I cut those off just to kind of jog it off to the left a little bit. That way I won't have that big ugly blob to cut off and then rewire. Just got all my brake lines in from Rock Auto. I got a right and a left 95 hard body for the front calipers. And then I got a 95 Maxima rear hose for those calipers. And then I got a 95 hard body split line for the middle for the rear axle. And then I've ordered some hard line. I'm going to do all new hard line in the back. All new lines for the rear brake line. So recycling the front brake line with new fittings. So I've ordered those. But is this what the rear Maxima calipers were? I don't remember. Probably. In theory, I could have used these on the front, but they'd be too long. So anyways, probably could use the same one on all 4. I think I actually had a different one for left and right. Oh, RR, maybe right rear. Is that in there? Oh, that's in there. Why is there a different one for the right versus the left? I think Nissan over design stuff. Yeah, 47 and 46. There's a different part number for the left and right for front and back. So I got 5 different brake lines. Whatever. 4 of them could have been the same in my opinion. I use aftermarket stuff. So I think I'm going to take the bed off to do the rear stuff. Fix the exhaust and the gas tank and the brake lines all at the same time, and the spare tire carrier all at the same time. Also got a rebuild kit. It's like $3, just in case. Okay, I'm just stripping off the grill so I can do some sanding and painting. I actually got out one of the original screws out of this headlight. So that's what they are. I think I did find another one of these in my bucket. All the other ones are either missing or broken. That's the first. And probably the last, because I think there's one more. Oh, that's broken. I get these things off. Oh yeah, that one's stripped out of the head. There's one in here. All right, cool. Okay, here's the headlight holders. I've been soaking these in phosphoric acid trying to get all this rust off. It's taking off all this gold, anodizing, whatever it is. But these plastic clips, I can't find new ones. I found some on eBay, but they don't look like this. They're not round. They're like square. So I've ordered something that may work, but it'll need a little modification. But I suppose they say 620, 520, 521, but they don't look right. So it looks like these 2 brackets are identical. The only difference is these are mounted in the opposite places. You see the label right and left. So just got this one off. I had to drill out all those broken bolts. So I finally have the whole front end stripped. Finally. Just took a while. Got one more bolt on the fender to unbolt and get that fender off. Alright, so I found a check valve from my D21. There's the part number. Where is it? 474 478 03 boo. And I found the part number for the hose. Looks like it fits. Alright, I had to buy a box of E-clips because I was missing the one for the shifter. Just figured out it's 1/4 inch. So the shifter is 1/4 inch. There you go. There's an E-clip on the bottom of the shifter. This is a really bizarre shifter. Oh, I can't get it off now. It's not on. Oh, there we go. This is what holds it on. There's a bolt on the end and a big rubber bushing inside this thing. Very bizarre. Oh, maybe that's what that nut was. Is that what this nut is? So I just got the PCV hose on. Not PCV. Brake check valve and hose installed, and I got the brake lines made. The whole truck has all new brake lines now. Well, I reused the old ones. I got a couple of here that I converted to metric, and I just did on the back. It's all 10mm now. So everything is ready for fluids. Put fluids in here and here. Engine oil in, training oil in, rear end oil in. I'm not gonna do the radio just yet. I had to order a new gasket. This one was all expanded. So yeah, we're getting close to first start. I just gotta figure out the distributor. So I painted the valve cover red. I think it looks better. Looks different. So now do the distributor. This is the stuff I use. There's 3 different shades of red. This was what was it called? I think it was called like Universal Red. I just got a valve cover gasket, Felpro. I've always heard a lot of negative things about Felpro, but this one's actually quite impressive. It's actually made in USA for the L series. It's got some really good instructions. Don't use adhesives. Clean it. Tighten it 30 inch-pounds. The holes are undersized to hold it tight. And it went right on. I got 1 bolt hole lined up and then all 6 went in. Usually, you have to fight with these gaskets. The gasket that was on here was kind of like, it's not cork, but it's very rubbery. But it was all oversized and stretched, and it was so long that it just, it just pops out of the sides. But this one is much wider than normal that I remember. It went on nice. Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna be using this from now on. There's the part number for an L16, or as you can see, all the L series, 4-cylinder L series. There's a lot more than that worldwide. There's like an L4 and whatever. But in the US, there's just those 3 sizes. Pretty cool.